So, Aubrey Klarman, welcome to How She's Doing It. How are you
Thank
doing
you.
today?
I'm good. I'm happy to be here on a cold football Sunday. I am a New York City-based writer. I'm a sophomore in college at Marymount Manhattan College. My first book came out in 2025 called When I Rise on This Mountain. It's a poetry book. You have it? Wow, that was crazy.
Mhm. I
But
love it.
thank you. But basically, I write a little bit of everything. I studied journalism and film and media production, and my concentration is broadcasting and football. So my dream would be to be a football analyst or to work specifically for the Baltimore Ravens. Big Baltimore fan here. But my other side dream is to just be a writer for the rest of my life. I love writing books. I love writing essays, but right now I'm just living up my 20s in New York City. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So, to kind of start early on, we went to the same high school. How did growing up in that environment kind of shape how you are?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a big high school in a small town.
Mhm.
So like our school's roughly like 1,400 kids, I guess. My
Mhm.
graduating class was around 340, I think, or like it was like 290 or 340. I can never remember which number it is. But I chose my school because it was the only school in the county that had a writing program. And when I was in sixth grade, I did like my first essay ever. And my sixth grade English teacher was like, wrote a comment on it that said, this writing might just be your thing. And I didn't know what it meant at the time because, you're like writing an essay in sixth grade. I don't even know what it was about. But I was like, that really stuck with me. So I always been a reader and I always liked writing, but I didn't know what it meant for me exactly. I
Mhm.
didn't know that I wanted to be a journalist at the time. I didn't know that I wanted to be a poet, and I didn't know that I wanted to write fiction. And at the time, I also thought that you just had to pick one, that you could only be a journalist, or you could only be a poet, or you could only write nonfiction or fiction and all of that. But I basically signed up for Journalism 1 my freshman year of high school. And that immediately sent me into a spiral where I was like, oh my God, like this is, I think, what I want to do for my career. And then at the same time, I joined the literary magazine at our school because one of my longtime friends was one of the editors at the time, and she was like, you need to join this because I think you would like it. So our literary magazine was like all poetry. So I was reading so much of it. I was like, I think I should try this. So I wrote my first poem and I thought it was so bad. Like I genuinely thought it was the worst thing I've ever read. And I sent it to that friend and she was like, dude, this is really good. Like you need to keep going. You need to keep trying. So basically it just spiraled from my freshman year of high school was journalism and creative writing at the same time. And my teachers were so like excited that I wanted to write all of this stuff that they just
Mhm.
kept giving me more things to do. So I was in my senior year, I was enrolled in 5 English classes. Like I was like insane, but it was so worth it because it really did set me up for success now. So I was very lucky to go to the school that I did go to. I'm very proud to be a Bobcat alum because I had the best time at high school. I would never want to relive it. It was its own time. It was
Yeah.
its own thing. Right. But I loved the experiences I got from the amazing English staff that we have there.
And I even see it with Girl Up. There are so many people there that are just on your side that are pushing you in whatever way you want to go. How did those experiences in high school translate to the poetry book, and how did you start writing this?
Yeah. So basically, my book, When I Rise on This Mountain, is
Mhm.
a collection of poetry literally from, there's some stuff in there that is probably from my freshman year of high school. I probably wrote it that early, and then obviously I edited it before I put it into this book because I'm a very different writer than when I first started writing my freshman year. But I grew up with a very amazing support system. My parents are amazing, and my mom always was like, dude, this is what you love to do. This is what you want to do. This is what you're going to do. So I kind of like ran the idea past her in, I want to say like this time last year, like January of 2025. I was like, is this a crazy thing to do, to like start preparing this? And she was like, no. So in high school, I wrote anytime I felt anything, whether it was happy or sad or just any experience I had, I translated that into poetry because it just comes naturally to me. It's not something I have to try to do. Like the poetry just flows out of me, which is like a really special experience. Like I
Yeah.
always say I can't always talk about how I'm feeling, but I can write it. Like I can
Yeah.
write down the exact way that I feel in a moment. And that's what all of the poems in that book are from. And so
Mhm.
being in high school, I had written some of those in my creative writing classes and my English classes, but I wrote some of those on my favorite French teacher's floor. And I wrote some of those backstage in the auditorium during shows. And I wrote some of them preparing for Girl Up lessons. And I wrote some of them from my friendships and my relationships that I experienced in high school and then also in college. There's some in there that are from my freshman year of college. But I think that just being surrounded in a space where I was surrounded by people that were encouraging me to do it and encouraging me that, hey, this isn't a crazy idea. You want to be a writer, you love being a writer, to just write. So I think like the teachers at Bel Air High School never gave me an idea that I could not do this and that I was ready for this. And when I actually came back, as you know, I spoke at Bel Air High
Mhm.
School this past month. When I came back, I gifted 3 of my favorite English teachers a copy of my book, each of them, and I wrote a note in each of them because I just have so much to be thankful for from that department and how they really did set me up to be the writer that I am today.
Yeah. It's crazy to read about because there's so many things. Like I was reading the poem about your mom in this, and like I feel similar ways about like my parents pushed me to do this, and they're really supportive along the whole process. But also just I'm emailing possible people in like art class last year. I was emailing people to try and get this thing started, and it's like whenever I had a free second, I was like, oh well, what could I do? Like I can't like go on TikTok because I don't have AirPods with me right now, but like I could email people. So like I kind of feel really similar, and it's crazy to sit down and read this book and think like you were in the same kind of spot that I am 4 years ago, and to see who you become, like it's goals. I'd love to be working and living in New York someday. That's insane. Can you talk more about like what your daily life is like just going to school in New York?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I feel like people have this like idea that it's going to be very Carrie Bradshaw or Blair
Mhm.
Waldorf, and they're like, wow, that's the life. But I really do think that it's not like people are always like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you live in New York City. Like people who are from like Bel Air, they're like, oh my gosh. But it really does become routine. I mean, my average school day, I get up in the morning, I try to write or read for about an hour in the morning. It doesn't always work out because I love to sleep as well, but I am a morning person. So I try to get up, write and read, drink a Celsius and some water and get my mind moving. And then I get ready for my day. I find that I'm more motivated when I do my hair and makeup. So I like try to do it
Mhm.
every day. Like, I think that that's just something that I like to do for me. And then I go to my school. My school's like a 15-minute walk from my apartment because I live off campus. Or I take the subway if I'm feeling really lazy. And sometimes that's the moves. So then I go to school, I do my classes, and then I either hang out with my friends at night, I go see a show, I go to museums, I go to concerts, or I come back here and I make dinner and relax with my roommates who are also my best friends. So I think like there is this like nuanced idea that there's always something to do in New York City, and that is 100% the truth. Like if you are bored in New York City, you are not looking. So I try to find like little events that I can go to and things that my friends would enjoy doing with me, and I try to do at least once a week, like a sit down lunch or dinner or breakfast with one of my friends just to like check in, see how they're doing. Because I think one-on-one conversations are super important. But I think like my day to day is like so adult sometimes. I'm like, oh my gosh,
Mhm.
like I like did my laundry like last week or like 2 weeks ago. I like I'm sitting in the laundromat and a dryer caught on fire, and I'm like, wow, this is, don't worry, it wasn't mine. It wasn't that bad. But I'm like, wow, this is totally something that would happen to like make my day a little less normal. But that's like the craziest thing to happen that day. Otherwise, I, woke up, I did a little workout, I had dinner with a friend, and I came home. But yeah, living in New York, it's like it was my dream come true. I always wanted to go to college in New York. I always wanted to go to a small college, and like it's just exactly how I dreamed. Just crazy.
That's great. It's like it just goes to show like you could have big dreams and achieve them. Like you can do anything you put your mind to. And it's crazy to see the parallels from like you have a like kind of just a similar college experience. You're going to class, but it's different where like at the end of the night you're going to see a show or you're going out to dinner or there's so much to do in New York, just like you said. What are some of the biggest obstacles that you face or things that are challenging when you try and balance school and friendships along with work and writing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest challenge that I have is that I'm like go, go, go all the time, and that I don't always have as much time to just sit down and write. Because I love to write a Substack article, and I love to write a poem, and like even like chapters of fiction books I've been working on. I love to just sit down and focus on them. But school is consuming, and I also do have a job. I work at a New York City tourist retail store here. It's really cute and pink in there, and I love it. But balancing that with being a student, and then, like you said, like seeing my friends and making time for that, I think something that really helps me is reminding myself often that I don't have to hold everything at once, and that there is enough time. And if I don't finish it in any given week, there's next week. And if I don't finish it in any given day, there's the next day. And I think reminding myself that like a little bit of progress is still progress. Like one sentence on a piece of paper is better than no sentences on a piece of paper. And I think like it's going to sound so funny, but I carry a notebook with me everywhere I go. Like I'm
Yeah.
at that point where I'm like, I understand why my mom carried a notebook in her purse. And I carry like a portable charger with me everywhere I go in case I need to quickly write down a poem. Because a lot of my poems are written in my notes in my phone because my fingers just type so fast now that it's just so easy to just
Yeah.
get it done. Because once it's in my head, I have to get it down before I forget. But I think like there's times where I'm like with a friend and like I'll say something and they'll be like, write that down. That's really good. So I think like also being in a space where people support you and support your vision and your mission and know that like this is important to you and this is what you want to do. I mean, especially in New York City, you're surrounded by creatives. Like most of my friends are dance majors or musical theater majors. And then my roommates are PR and psychology, so it's a little bit of a different vibe in here. But my friends are like dancers, and I love going to their shows and supporting them creatively. And I work on projects with my dance friends. I actually had a dance friend choreograph a piece to one of my poems this past semester. So
Really
like
cool.
there's just so many ways to like collaborate with people too, which I think is a unique New York experience. But I think what it comes down to is like you need to you need to prioritize, I, at the end of the day, I'm here to be a student first. So student and my personal health are my number one priorities. They have to be. And
Yeah.
then my second priority is the job that I do for money and the job that I do for my soul. So my
Hmm.
soul is my writing and the job that I do for money is the work. So I actually did have a point where I was working so much at my retail store that I said to my boss, hey, I think I need to pull back a little bit because I need to write more. And I think it's like like knowing what you need is super important, and coming to terms with, hey, I need a break today.
Yeah.
I like, even extroverts like myself need to not talk to people sometimes.
Yeah.
That's okay. So I think balancing and acknowledging what you're feeling as a real feeling is super important.
Yeah. And one of the biggest reasons why I love New York too is just there's so much to collab on, and there's so much out there and so many different opportunities. This is a little bit off topic, but do you have any like crazy New York City encounters or crazy things you've seen? Because it is kind of a wild place.
Yes, and then I've also like experienced just like crazy things that like no one would believe. Like, but they do, because like you're in New York. Like
Yeah.
there's this ones, like I have two stories literally that happened this past semester that really stick out to me. One is, my friends live in a dorm, right?
Hmm.
But the dorm is like a conjunction of a bunch of colleges. So a bunch of colleges in the city have students in this dorm building, and they
Hmm.
had a bunch of exchange students from Turkey. And we went on a picnic in Central Park, 4 girls and 4 Turkish men. And I did not know these people before showing up to the picnic,
Yeah.
but that was just one of those things where I was like, nobody's gonna believe me that I went to this Turkish picnic. And they brought so much Turkish food. And and then 2 of our friends had to leave. And then it was me and one of my friends. And we're like, oh my gosh, now it's just us and the Turkish men. And you know what? They were delights. They were great. But it's just like a wow story. And then I have this other story that is kind of crazy. I'm not going to say who the celebrity is, because I'm not trying to like tell like celebrity stories on the internet where
Yeah.
they can get in trouble. But one of my friends works at a restaurant in the West Village or East Village. I don't remember. I think it's West, but it's very popular to be a celebrity spot. So we all, like a group of us, went out to dinner, and we ran into a celebrity on the street, and we were talking to him. We were like, hey, like, nice to meet you. And then he came back out and asked us if we had a light for his cigarette, and we did not. But he ended up talking to us for like 20 minutes, and he was like, please come hang out with us in the back when you're done. I'm being serious. And we were like, okay, like he's not being serious. So he left. And then 20 minutes later, he comes back. He's like, guys, I'm being so serious. Come hang out with me and the other famous people in the back. So when we finished our dinner, we went and we hung out with, he's an actor. We went and hung out with him, and then a famous musician and her sister in the back room of this restaurant. And then halfway through the dinner, this actor, he's from a TV show, another actress from the TV show, and the creators of the TV show came and ate. So we're all like, it's my friends and then 5 like random famous people all sitting at a table in the celebrity room at this restaurant for like 3 hours, maybe even longer. And it's just one of those things where like
It's
you're
just
just
crazy.
talking to them.
Yeah.
They're humans, and they're like, come hang out with us. And you're like, okay.
Love the whole like you really never know who you're gonna meet anywhere,
You
and like or like
genuinely
what
don't.
doors could open.
Exactly. And
Hmm.
like, that's why I think you building connections is super important. I mean, we
Hmm.
learned that like from day one,
Yeah.
but building connections in New York is so fun and so easy. Like, one of my I work as a contributor for a New York City based women in sports newsletter called The
Mhm.
Sidelines. And I got that opportunity from going up to Dana Alcori, who's the founder, at an event that they were hosting for National Women's History Month and like sports and wellness, like sort of thing. And so I went up to her
Mhm.
and I was like, hey, I just want you to know I love the work that you're doing. And literally on the spot, she offered me that opportunity. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay. So I've been collaborating with them since March of last year. And I've just had the most fun doing it. I've gotten to do some really cool things. One of my favorite pieces that I did was explaining football positions with my favorite makeup products.
I love that.
Because, like, I love a little girly moment, but I'm a
Yeah.
huge football person. And I think, like,
Hmm.
a lot of my friends don't understand football, and it's not their fault, obviously, but they want to. And so I think it's confusing. Like,
Yeah.
It is a confusing game. So having like that, I had friends texting me like, wow, this makes so much more sense. I was like, thank you.
Yeah,
Um,
just translate it to a language you already know.
exactly. And me and my roommate went to this concert. It was like a $25 ticket in October of 2024 for like this actor. He's in The Outsiders on Broadway, and I just loved his solo music. And I was like, let's go to this concert. And there was these two girls sitting behind us in line that were so funny. They were cracking me up. I turned around and said, hey, you guys are so funny. And we immediately all clicked. We all immediately became friends. And now we go to concerts with them. We go out to dinner with them. And one of them is she works in marketing for
Hmm.
the New York Islanders. So that's a connection that I made just from talking to someone who's working in a field that I want to work in. And so,
Hmm.
like, you never know who you're going to meet. You're never going to know who knows somebody else. And that's why you always need to have your like game face on. You need to have your I know
Yeah.
who I am sort of toot about you sometimes, while
Mhm.
still being like just authentic to yourself and just build connections right at your fingertips.
Yeah, that's certainly like something that I'm working towards with a balance of authenticity, but also being professional and not oversharing completely. But I
Yeah.
just love hearing that story because they're such girls. Like I love that.
Exactly. Like literally just a turnaround saying, hey, you guys are so funny. And then they were like, you guys are so pretty. And like it was just like
Yeah.
literally just typing a girl up, it
Hmm.
takes you the mile.
Yeah. And I feel like everybody in New York is always there for some purpose, or you're never just in New York to like be in New York. You know what I mean? Except for like vacationing. But if you're living in New York, like you have a purpose and you're working towards it. And I love that. And I can't wait till I can go to New York. It's not even I'm going and spending time in New York in my life. I
Yes.
just can't wait for that moment to come about.
If it keeps calling your name, it's going to keep calling your name until you're done with what you have to do there.
Yeah.
Like for sure. Because I was in the same boat as you. You know, I was
Hmm.
in high school and my friends were all like, well, we know Aubrey's going to go to school in New York. Like, it's like college decision time.
Yeah.
They're like, well, we know where Aubrey's going, but we just don't know where she's going. But it's such a special experience to know that about yourself, even at
Yeah.
like any age, like knowing that you want to be a certain thing or want to do a specific thing, or knowing like, I'm really good at this. What can I do with this?
Yeah.
Um, which was I mean, back to writing, which is how I figured out, I wanted to be a writer. I was like, wait, I'm kind of good at this.
Hmm.
So it's just super special to be in a space where not everybody knows exactly what they want, but they know that they want to be here. And I think that's really
Yeah.
special.
Yeah. Can we talk about some more things you're getting into writing wise? I heard there was this new project coming up. Can you share as much as you're allowed to about this?
Yes, you just saw the smile that came across my face. Like I'm
Mhm.
like, yes, we can talk about it. So I'm currently working on two books. I know it's like saying that is like crazy sometimes. Sometimes I like feel like I need to pinch myself and make sure it's real because like it's like crazy, it's like a dream come true. But you know, I'm working on another poetry book, but I'm also working on a longer form fiction novel. I'm not setting myself any limit on the fiction novel because it takes more time. You're
Yeah.
world building, your character building. These are people whose feelings and lives I'm in charge of, and I feel that very heavily. And so I want to make sure that comes across as I want it to. But as for the poetry book, I have been in talks with a publisher, which is super exciting because my first book was self-published.
Hmm.
But, there's certain things I can't say, but what I can say is that I'm hoping that a new one comes out sooner rather than later. I'm really hoping that it's this year because, the way that I'm producing and the things like poetry is coming out of me at every twist and turn, which is super exciting. So I'm really hopeful it'll be this year. I still have a lot of contracts to go through and conversations to have and things to change. And, I'm just really happy that I've found people that are passionate about my mission that don't know me. Because my
Yeah.
thing has always been, I want to give a voice to younger writers that this is possible, this is doable. And just because you are young does not mean that your voice isn't just as important as somebody else. And I
Yeah.
mean, because I always remember, like, when I was a kid, sometimes I would be told, not from like my parents, but you would get told that because you're young, like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You
Yeah.
don't know that thing. I think that's like a common thing that people hear. And for me, I wanted to make sure that my writing does not show that at all. Like, I want people to be able to read this and like read my work and find a piece of it that they relate to and that they see themselves in. So I think this next book the first book was a little bit of like everything I've ever felt in my entire life.
Yeah.
This one has a little bit more of like a clear vision to it, which I'm excited about. There's a lot of love poems in it because, comes very naturally, but,
Yeah.
I'm just really excited about this next chapter and that I don't have to do it all alone, I think, because writing the first one got lonely at times because, I had all the organization myself. I had some friends and family help edit, but I did all the organizing and all the writing, and the first like 5 rounds of editing were all me. So I think having a group of people that want to support me and are like, yes, we see this. We see what you're trying to do. It's important. And the world needs a writer like you is game
Yeah.
changing. So I think that's as much as I can say on that, but
Yeah.
it's super
No, but
exciting.
that's incredible. And I relate to your book so much, not just because obviously we had similar experiences. We went to the same high school and we both have projects, but it's just like as a person in so many different ways. I'm like, this is exactly how I feel. I didn't even know this about her, so it's great. Um, to see kind of, like I said, like I have a project similar to you did in high school, and to see yours really take off, like I'm in the stage where I'm doing all of it alone. Like I'm reaching out, I'm editing, I'm doing all of it alone. And to see you turn your project into something big and getting to work with a publishing company, it's incredibly inspiring. And this is why I'm so glad that I was able to have you on, because first of all, I saw that she wrote the first book and I was like this girl's amazing. Like I have to speak to her, and to hear so much more is coming. I'm so excited. Um, is there any like misconceptions about kind of achieving your dreams in the sense, or living or working in New York City, or just kind of, because I hear sometimes it's not as glamorous as it seems. Just anything you can give on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think one popular misconception is that people are like, oh, but there's so many people there, there's so many things to do, like that it doesn't get lonely and that it doesn't get like that you don't get anxious and like that those feelings go away because there's so much to do and so many people. But I mean, I definitely think like even in a city full of millions of people, I still find myself lonely at times, and I still find myself having, because I do have anxiety, I find myself having
Mhm.
anxiety moments. But I think that you know, I have such a great thing going for me. I have to remind
Yeah.
myself so often that like, hey, this is a normal feeling to have. This is a normal way to feel. Because you may feel lonely, but you are never alone. I
Yeah.
wrote, there's a poem I have about that in my first book. I don't even remember, like, I don't even remember what it's called. That's like the point I'm at as a writer. I'm like, I wrote so many things, I don't even know what it is. But
Yeah.
it's something about like, you may feel lonely, but you'll never feel alone. And I know that at the end of the day, I can come home and I have my 2 best friends here. And at the end of the day, I can go home and get on a train and see my family. Because when I leave home, I go home. Like it's so funny to
Yeah.
have these 2 places to call home. But I feel like another like misconception about like being a writer and like having the success that I'm having is that it's not hard. That I'm just like producing and producing and like, oh, it's
Hmm.
just so easy. But a lot of thought and time does go into it. I don't just publish a poem to write a poem. There's probably like 100 poems that did not make the cut. And there's
Yeah.
certain poems where I'll be honest, I was like, I cannot publish this because it's a little too specific. And I
Yeah.
don't want anybody to like, because you do inherently as a writer, you're going to write about people and things that have happened to
Yeah.
you. you're telling a story and, it's normal, but I don't want anybody to feel singled out either.
Yeah.
So sometimes you have to take a step back and remove the, like, this is important to me part and put on the cap of like the business side and be like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't publish this. But I think sometimes people think that it's just really easy to sit down and write an essay and sit down and write a book. And I mean, I even think about my favorite writers when they're online. People in their comment sections are like, when are you putting out the next book? It's been too many years. But it's like a fiction book is like, can be up to, I mean, it can be as many pages as you want, but I feel like the ones I usually read are like 300 to 600 pages.
Yeah.
And sometimes in a given day, I can only write 15. Like, so it really is like a hard thing to put your thoughts and ideas down on a page and know that so many people are going to read them and have this gut feeling of, what will this person think of me? What will people think of me if I write this, if I publish this? Will it change what they think of me? Will it change what I think of me? Will, like, sharing this at all ruin something for me in the future?
Yeah.
And I even had that thought, like, if I write a poetry book, will I still be taken seriously as a journalist?
Yeah.
And that was like a really hard thing that I dealt with for a minute, because like poetry is so creative and so emotional. And while I do still think journalism is emotional and important, it's more like, not that poetry is any less serious, but it's more serious and formatted and specific. It's the day-to-day news,
Yeah.
But I think what I realize is that anybody who cares for what I have to write as a journalist is already going to know that I put my heart and soul into it. It's who I am. And my work showcases who I am entirely. Everything I write, there's a slice of me in it, even if it is a journalistic piece. So I think, realizing that, this is like a balance for sure. My journalistic voice and my creative voice are very different, but they're still authentically me and they're still important. So I think that that's something that I had a hard time with. And, on my Substack, a lot of my essays are about relationships. And that was something that I was like scared to publish too. I was like, oh my gosh, will I still be taken seriously if I write about dates that I go on and pull a full Carrie Bradshaw? But like, yeah, I will be, because I write so many things and I'm not putting myself in a box.
Yeah. I definitely feel that too. With any time you're producing anything, you're a little bit vulnerable, and there's definitely thoughts in the back of your mind of, I don't know if this could change how I'm perceived or what others would think about me, especially in high school. Like, it's definitely a thought that I'm like, oh, I wonder if so-and-so is going to think this or what's going on. But what I think is really unique and really interesting is, how Taylor Swift used to say, like, she doesn't write names of people in her songs because she wants everybody to relate to it differently. Like, I was reading your poems and I was like, like, I kind of see this as like this person in my life, or like I relate to this with this group of friends or something. And my friend was reading the book a couple hours ago, and she was like saying, I wonder who this is about. Like, I wonder if like the people that this is about, or like the guy or something, like if they've ever picked up this book or if they know. And it's a cool thing to like think about or keep in the back of your mind.
I have that same thought all of the time. Like, I mean, the fact that you just compared me to Taylor Swift is like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. For one, I love that woman. But secondly, I think about that sometimes. I even like jokingly, when I first like released the book, I was saying to one of my friends, I was like, I think that I should send one to every single guy that has a poem about them in this book, and I should write them a note. Obviously, I didn't do that. But, sometimes I post my poetry on my story sometimes, and I'm like, oh, if he sees this, he's going to know it's about him,
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, to actually also quote Taylor Swift, she once said, I never wrote about somebody that I wanted back in my life. I, on the other hand, have written a little bit about people that, I would
Yeah.
be happy to let back in, but I think it's being careful about what you say and what you share.
Hmm.
Because I can share, these emotional things that happen with someone, but the second that I flip the switch and I'm like, I hate them, they're awful, like all that, like you have to be really sure that you don't want to see that
Yeah.
person again. To be really sure that you're okay with that relationship going away,
Hmm.
or knowing that it's done and knowing that this isn't a thing anymore. And I even like, I joke like with guys that I go on dates with. I'm like, if this doesn't end well, like
You're gonna have a poem in the next
you're gonna
book.
have a poem about you. And it's like never like genuine. Like I'll joke about it, but like if you give me a reason to write about you, it can either be a really good thing, you can be my muse for the rest of my life, or it could be a really bad thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that just comes so natural for me to write about my relationships and my experiences. And I hope that other people read it and know that they aren't alone in it. I think that, love and dating when you're young
Hmm.
is a very like common thing, obviously. Like a ton of
Yeah.
people are dating and like experiencing love for the first time. We're all experiencing it for the first time, and we're all learning and we're meeting people. And my hope is that, I will experience something and I'll get to write about it, and somebody can read that and feel less alone in it, or will say, wait, like this is something that's important that I can take with me and make
Hmm.
sure this doesn't happen to me. Almost
Yeah.
as like a lesson for other people. Because, like I've said, I've had some really great experiences, I've had some really bad experiences, but all in all, like they shape me, and I
Yeah.
always say, like, every day it's a step closer to my husband. Like I joke about it, but like it's true. Like, so every day I'm a step closer, and writing about them
Hmm.
and writing about these things have helped me. And I'm hopeful that they help other people feel less alone in their relationships.
Yeah. Even just with this conversation, I felt less alone in other aspects where like you were saying you feel alone, but you're never really alone. Like I was like, yeah, like that's right. Like to see, because obviously like I see it on the internet and I see crazy success, but it's like sometimes you don't see the steps that it takes to get there, or kind of an in between. So um it's really great to like have somebody to share this with, or be able to relate to the poems in this book or to what you're saying about the process of writing. Is there any other advice or big things that you'd give to inspire young women or little girls who either want to write or want to do anything that's a project of theirs?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing that has always stuck with me is that like your dreams are never too big. And no matter, and even if your dreams are small, they are not any less important. And
Mm-hmm.
I think about Meg March from Little Women, the 2019 quote where she's like, just because my dreams are different than yours doesn't mean they're any less important. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think about like that compare. I know I'm gonna use a Little Women quote or a Little Women comparison, but the comparison between Joe and Meg is super important. I mean, all four of the sisters, but those two, where Joe wants to be this like big accomplished writer in New York City, and her career is super important. She's super career
Mm-hmm.
focused and driven, and she's doing all these things to achieve that. And Meg, on the other hand, wants to be a stay-at-home mother, and she wants to take care of her kids, and she wants to be married. And Joe can't understand that.
Yeah.
But I think that, I can. Like, just because somebody wants something different out of their life doesn't mean that it's any less of a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think supporting those around you, supporting other people, is the only way you're going to succeed. Like other people's successes are not your failures, which is
Yeah.
something that like, especially when you're early in high school, you see other people experience things, and definitely in middle school. This is definitely a middle school experience, but like
Mhm.
you see other people experiencing things, and your number one reaction sometimes is, how come they have that and I don't? And I think
Mhm.
I mean, it's a really, at the end of the day, it's a really awful thought to have when I like think about it now,
Yeah.
but I get it
Mhm.
because, you know, everybody wants to be something, whether that be an actor or a doctor or a writer or literally anything ever. Like, you can do whatever you want, but
Mhm.
it's never going to work if you don't believe in yourself first
Yeah.
and say, this is a real thing. This is what I want to do. I can do it. And looking for the resources and finding somebody that supports you, even if it's not your parents. I mean, I was even very lucky outside of my parents. When I was in high school, I had my guidance counselor at the time. She's no longer at our school, which I'm really upset about. She was amazing. I would go to her office a lot my junior year of high school, especially because, my mental health wasn't great at the time, but also I was just, struggling with this whole like dilemma of what do I want to do with my life? And she very clearly said to me, I think you know what you want to do. You just need to find the tools to do it.
Yeah.
My parents and I went on many college tours and I found the tools and I picked up the pieces and I've made friends that support my mission and support me. I told friends like this past year that I was launching my book and they offered their space to have a launch party in. Shout out
Oh,
Love Evolution Yoga Studio in Bel Air, Maryland. They are the best yoga studio. They also have for new yoga people a 30 for 30 deal. So shout out Love Evolution. But they immediately were like, you can have your launch here. We want to support you. And that was an awesome thing. Like, I think supporting others is a very small thing. Like,
yeah.
it's so easy to just repost somebody's like success and be like,
Yeah.
watch this dance, or this person's writing this thing, or this person's having accomplishment in whatever field they're in.
Mhm.
Like, because I have friends who are working in medicine as well, and I have friends who want to be investment bankers, and I have friends who want to go into politics. I have friends that want to do so many things that I'll never understand because they're not what I want to do. You're never
Yeah.
going to fully understand why a certain person might want to do a certain thing, but I love them and I
Mhm.
want to support them. So I think like my big things are other people's successes are not your failures.
Yeah.
That's a big thing that I've been living by for the
Mhm.
longest time. And then my other big thing is showing up and supporting people no matter what. Supporting
Yeah.
your people, supporting people you may not even know that well. Literally, you don't know how easy it is to just drop a comment on Instagram or shoot
Yeah.
someone a DM. I had a post that I posted on my Substack called Why Do I Feel Everything So Heavily at Once? And it really was a reflection of, I have all these feelings and why do they go here? And then it was like, oh, but it's because I'm full of so much love. And
Yeah.
love is all around me. And I love so many people and so many things. And I had a girl who, like from our hometown, DM'd me this long paragraph saying, I just want you to know that there are silent supporters here too, who
Yeah.
don't know you as well. I had another girl who reached out and said, you are my Carrie Bradshaw. Thank you. And it's like these moments where it's like, these little things stick with me. These people
Yeah.
that I don't know as well who
Mhm.
support me. And so I think like just showing up, even when you don't think it matters, even when you don't think it's going to change
Yeah.
your life, even when you don't think it's important, even when you're tired and you're exhausted, you still go and you still show up and you still comment on Instagram and you still show up on social media, but you show up in person too. And it's just the most important thing you can do is show up for other people and yourself.
Yeah. And I saw that a lot with the podcast. Like, I would tell a lot of people, but I'd kind of keep it under wraps at first. And now I'm like, there are people that I'm really close friends with. And I was saying something like, oh, I have an interview later. And they're like, for what? And I was like, oh, I haven't told you yet. Like, I have a podcast. But there are so many silent supporters out there who they love what you're like. I had somebody say the other day, like, I really want to start up a podcast. And I was like, so many people I thought were gonna say, like, that's kind of weird. Like, why would you do that? But they really just, they love it and they want to see it keep going. And they were asking me for my advice. And I was like, I don't have that much to give you, but like, I'm looking at other people and looking up to them, and to be someone that they're like, oh, like, you've done this. Like, how did you get there? I'm like, I realize now, like, I've kind of created something and I've gotten somewhere, and maybe like I'd have a little bit to share. Like, I'd love to write a book about, just because I gather so much of all of these interviews. There's so much. And then I keep it like it's on the internet. It's for other people. It's for other women or anybody that wants to succeed, because a big thing for me that I'm now realizing at like this time in my life is there are so many people that say, like, that's not that important, or like, follow your dreams, whatever. But there are so many times, especially in the media and stuff, that follow your dreams and like whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve, is pushed towards us. And I think the people that are saying it's not important aren't really ever going to get where they want. And the people who are pushing it at you, who are saying, like, follow your dreams, they're the ones that, if you look at it, they're where they want to be. And they're people that you look up to yourself. And so it's great stuff that I carry with me every day, that like is in the back of my mind as I'm trying to get through high school, that I'd love to put out there or tell anybody about.
Yeah, and I think like something that I guarantee you're feeling this, because I felt it too when I was first starting, was, okay, but who wants to hear what I have to say? Like,
Yeah.
Like, you're like, okay, but like, who cares? Like, it really, like, you do think that, because I was just a small town girl from a big high school, and I had success in my high school. I had success in my high school careers, if you will.
Yeah.
And, I had a great experience. I was like, but, now I'm a small fish in a big pond. Who cares what I have to say? But I care.
Yeah. And that's
I
all
care.
that matters.
Exactly. I care about what I'm writing, and I care to share my experiences and my stories. And I know that other people read them and enjoy them. And I think, when I was in high school, I was really scared to share a lot of the things that now I just, like, with no thought, just go boom, post. And it's such a cool experience to also see the people from my high school that show up and support me that I wasn't even friends with, or that I was friendly with. And there's people that now they're rooting for me too, and I'm rooting for them. And it's like, it's such a cool experience to like reflect and look back and say, why was I ever scared? Like, why was I ever nervous about this? And it takes guts. It does.
Every time like I go and I'm hesitant about putting a video out there or about going on smaller social platforms, I'm always like telling myself that, like, by publicly putting this out there and kind of admitting that, like, this is who I am to myself, and like showing everybody else, I'm attracting more people that are like that. And like, if I believe myself, and if I want to be like this, and if I love myself enough, then like I love what's coming back to me. You know what I mean? Kind of in like you'll see others of your kind in places that you didn't even think.
Exactly. You 100% will. And like, there's so many creatives and so many people that want to do what you're doing. Like, I know people that are way older than you that are like, oh, I wish I had the guts to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And my thing is always just like, do it.
Yeah.
Like, write the thing, publish the podcast, audition for the role, go out and apply for the job, do the thing. Because the worst thing that can happen is that you get rejected and you realize that it wasn't meant for you.
Yeah. And then you move on to the next.
Exactly.
Sorry.
You're okay. It was a funny face. But like, it's just super important to show up for yourself and put yourself out there, because you never know what will change your life until you go out there and experience it. Yeah.
And I always, like, with the podcast, always thought, well, I was like, oh, I can talk. Like, oh, I'm good at this. And then as soon as I started it, it was very robotic, and it was very, question answer, and I always ask advice at the end, or like little tidbits or things that I could fix, that I can improve. And I'm just sometimes like I'm like, this wasn't even like this wasn't the best conversation I've ever had, and this wasn't like as life-changing as some other ones are, but I did it and I got better, and I'm getting better each one at a time. So it's just that little bit that keeps me going, and like every time I learn something new, because like we were talking about this earlier, I wanted to branch off of this a little bit. I feel like in our generation or in high school, there's so much being pushed at you about like you're not special, like you're just kind of basic, and like in another, like everybody's like you, there's 300 people like you, and it kind of it's awful, but it forces you to figure out what sets you apart or what makes you different. And so when I'm looking back at my interviews, I'm like, what do I want to stand out, and what do I want to use to kind of make it a different audience, and like keep it kind of niche and keep it me, so that people are drawn to me and attract maybe more people that are interested in this, or just, you know, do whatever I can with it. And so this episode, I'm really working on being comfortable and like being myself and putting myself out there and being authentic and blending that with being professional. And I don't know, I'll ask you about that at the end, but we'll see how things go.
I mean, I think you're doing a pretty good job.
Thank you.
No, but like, it's really like, I'm happy you brought that up, because I remember hearing that in high school where they're like, you're not special.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's actually like the worst thing that anybody could possibly say, because at the end of the day, we all are special, actually. We all are our own people, we're own things, we have our own thoughts. Every person is an original person. It's not like we're like duplicates of anyone. Like even twins have their own thoughts. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody is the same as somebody else. And I even remember in high school being told by some of my other teachers, not in the English department, that it was a really bold choice and a really big decision to choose writing, and that I should probably do something more in the business world because I am such a big talker and I would be successful in it.
Yeah.
And do I think that's an incorrect thought? Like that I would be good in business? Probably not. Like I do think that generally I'm good at talking and I'm good at building connections, and I probably would be really great in sales. But that's not what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's weird that you're like trying to push me away from a creative outlet. So I think like, I mean, in my senior year, I was even awarded the English Department Award, which is just given to one student for excellence in English, which includes not just like the electives, but like the APs and the honors.
Yeah.
And like it's anybody, every person in my grade had to take an English class at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I was one person selected for it. And, you know, I think having that, you know, it all goes back to the community. Like having my other teachers tell me, you know, this is what you should be doing. This is what you're good at. And also there's so many things that you can do in writing that are not just like bare bones journalist writer or fiction writer, poetic writer. Like writers do so many things that we don't even think about. Every day you read, every day people write what you read. So it's like a lot of times you're not even realizing that you are like reading. It's so funny, but you don't. Like even when you're on TikTok, you're reading like TikTok videos.
Yeah.
So I think it's like
it's everywhere and you don't even realize it.
And all careers are important. There's a reason why the reason why there's so many careers is because there's so many different people that want to do so many different things. Like genuinely, like that's the reason why there's so many things, and because there's a need. Like if you want to be an engineer, that's awesome. If you want to be a welder, that's awesome. If you want to be a doctor, that's awesome. But nobody should judge somebody because they want to do something. Like that is like that was just something that I experienced, and like I definitely have gotten like I don't want to say hate, but like I've had
Yeah,
people
it's everywhere.
in my
It's
family say like,
inevitable.
are you sure you want to be a writer? Like that's not as consistent of a career.
Mhm.
And my immediate reaction is always like, yes, what else would I do?
Mhm. It's who
Like
you are.
what else would I do? Like this is my given. This is what I was put on earth to do, in my opinion. I was put on earth to write. And it's important to me that other people can read and write as well. Like I always think about like banned books as well, you know, and I say with my mom all the time, like a banned book is a book worth reading because why did they ban it? Like,
Yeah.
and we're very lucky to live where we do because that's not really a problem.
Yeah.
But, you know, I always like think about like Fahrenheit 451, like, you know, just so many books and reading in school is the reason why I wanted to write the things that I do. So, you know, the pushback always should be used as influence. If somebody tells you, oh, like this, like, why are you doing this? You're like, well, I'm doing it because I want to do it. Thank
Yeah.
you. So now I'm going to go do it more. And, but then there's a difference between somebody being like, hey, like, I have a recommendation, but like, or like you need to understand like reviews from people on the internet, there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like what you're doing. There's always going
Yeah.
to be somebody who doesn't like your writing, and there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like your podcast or what you're producing. There's always going to be somebody. But then there's going to be somebody who loves it. There's going
Yeah.
to be somebody who loves reading it and loves watching it and loves listening to it and loves being part of it. And that outweighs it so much more.
Yeah. You gotta
That's
love what you're doing and you gotta love the audience.
yes. And it's like, so now I'm at this point where like I do care what people think about my writing because you have to a little bit, but I care even more so what the people I care about think about my
Mhm.
writing and my work. Like,
Yeah.
does my mom like it? Because that's the
Yeah.
most important. If my mom doesn't like it, then scrap.
Yeah.
But she's very honest with me too, which I appreciate.
Mhm.
She'll read it and she'll be like, "This doesn't make any sense." I'm like, "Okay, thanks. I'm glad
Yeah.
I wrote it." But it's true. Like I need, you know, you need input from people that aren't you so that
Mhm.
you can get better. Because
Yeah.
the writer I was when I first started writing was not the writer that I am now.
Mhm.
It's not good, I'll be honest. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Because
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty okay now.
You always will grow and learn, and like that's the stage that I'm in right now. And I'm at a point in my life where for the first time kind of realizing like there's what other people will push me to do and there's a direction that other people will want me to go down based off of like how they know me or what they think I'll like. And then there's a part of me that um is kind of just what I want to do and what I've always what my heart where my heart's always led me, and I had to find some sort of in between of using other people's input and criticism and finding a way to kind of rope it into what I want to do. And I love
100%.
what you said about I care about what the people or I care about what the people I care about think. It's a great way to put it. Is there anything else you'd like to say quickly before we wrap it up?
I mean, I just want people to remember that what you're doing in your life doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you at the end of the day. And what you're producing, what you're creating, what lights your soul on fire is the most important. And if that is something to do with math, that's great. If that's
Mhm.
something writing, that's great. But it only has to make sense to you for you to do it. And I think finding people that you can relate to and talk to is super important. So I just hope that
Yeah.
the main takeaway from this is that you're never alone and that you need to care and then other people will care.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, thank you so much for coming on. I loved this conversation. It was incredible. I learned so much that I could walk away with, and I hope everybody else did too.